I'm actually really excited for this energy transmission today because the energy feels very, very bright at the core. Like there's very strong light, very high frequency light that is supporting and moving that process that we're in right now, although it might not feel like this in the physical scale or on that personal level, but actually at the core it's very, very bright, and something so beautiful is behind it. But the words that came through for this were where we've gone through for almost a week now, we've gone through a massive energetic reset, a huge template reset, a timeline reset, whatever you want to call it. And that is very big because it expressed itself in very different ways for many different people. When there's a template reset, meaning that the energetic template in the holographic field that is in and around us and then moves out into from the personal to more of a collective scale with the people around you to then the collective, is really fascinating because it was so strong that its ripple is incredibly beautiful. Now the thing is that we know, we've known that for a while, right? That if when you go through an upgrade within yourself or a template shift or template reset, it does impact your reality. It starts with your internal world, your internal ecosystem, but also it ripples out into your external environment. And then it ripples out eventually to much more than this, because also the external is not necessarily the people that are, or the situations that are physically next to you, because everything is quantum. So actually it could be anybody that is part of your reality, even people all over the world, right? Because there's no limit to energetic existence, energetic living, and we're connected all over. But anybody that is part of your consciousness, that is part of your reality, there's a ripple in that field. But what is so exciting is that with the reset that just recently we're going through, or we've gone through because it's kind of started, is that the ripple is so direct and so powerful. Because usually there are specific times where the ripple is much slower, it takes a little bit more time to manifest in one's reality. When you go through a specific activation, sometimes the people around might be slower to actually have that change within themselves, or not necessarily that they're changing. It's not really that they're going to change, but because you have made that change within yourself, the interaction will change on some level. Either the interaction with you will remain, and then there will be a change on, on that depth of the friendship or the relationship or the partnership or whatever, or it might dissolve, right? But we know that there's a specific change that takes place the moment that there's this internal upgrade. Now the thing is that what I'm saying is so fascinating right now, because sometimes we witness that it's a bit slower, but there was something in this energy right now that we're going through, whereas the ripple is so immediate, it's so direct. It's as if like the threads that connect us between us and the outside world is really so thin. If you want to see it like when you're sending a signal to something or a wavelength, sometimes there could be some disruptions in the way, as if now there were literally no disruptions. It was as direct as it can be, as if like you've sent out a very strong signal and a potent signal that it just pierced through and created that ripple in the external reality. And I find that is so powerful because the shifts are going to be faster and faster, and the changes, and I'm really seeing it right now, like as if, imagine literally a shift of transmission into your own field. Like imagine that there's specific numbers or codings or images or geometries or patterns that are enveloping your field. And then literally like a domino effect, it's kind of like one is completely changing and then the others are kind of changing, let's say, into that more crystalline structure, into that more crystalline, pure energy. The same feels like there's no separation. So it feels like the same is actually moving forward towards the extensions of you, which are the extensions, the threads that are connecting you with yourself and with the other people around you, a person that is part of your consciousness or your reality. And so there's much more visibility, there's much more clarity in terms of like what you have gone through as an upgrade, what you have gone through as a reset, because that reset, that internal upgrade is very individual and personal to you. It's something that you needed inside yourself to upgrade into, to shift within yourself. And it's very different every person. That's what I'm saying. Maybe for you, it was something to do with self-empowerment. Maybe it was a little bit more grace. Maybe it was a little bit more of self-acceptance. Whatever it is, but the moment that shifted, it mirrors out, it reflects out the contrast of that into your reality. So the external reflection for you either has to shift along with you because you've brought in that codes for yourself, you've activated them, so now you're the higher reflection of that, or there's going to be a fallout, there's going to be a dropout of some sort because it's no longer resonating, and you're able to feel that unclear, you're able to get that clarity of where the discrepancy is between what you have just upgraded within yourself, that reset that you went through internally, and what is happening on the outside. Now the thing is that that reset is also could if it started for you, you know, from that last week, or if it's still moving through you right now, it could be in very different ways. So some people are going through a lot of physical stuff, a lot of physical things, because what happens is that is the reset now that is happening on the physical scale of the body, on a bodily level. So, and it's very deep. So it could be going through some very ancient, dormant structures within your body that actually needed an upgrade on that level. So these distortions that were present in you that are no longer serving you, and these distortions that were holding you back, these distortions that were creating those inner and infinite separations within you, all of a sudden are transforming, all of a sudden are alchemizing, all of a sudden they're resetting. So the body could be going through a physical reset in itself, and a lot of really interesting shifts. So it's important to know that, yeah, of course, because that's the thing, is that the physical and the energy are not separate. And so we kind of think like, is it the chicken or the egg first? It doesn't matter, because there's not start or end within the quantum field, within that reality. This is what our mind, our human linear perspective wants to make sense of, in the sense where if there was something physical that happened to you in terms of an accident or an external cause, because it has to have a trigger. It has to have a trigger. Sometimes it doesn't. Maybe you just find yourself, you're going through things. You're like, oh, what triggered it? You don't know. But on a physical level, there could be a trigger. Now, is that just a physical? No, it's an energetic representation of that reset that you're going through, because that is the world that we live in. And it's not what the cause and effect of that. Was it the energy that caused that, or the physical that caused that? It was a physical manifestation of an energetic reason. So there's an energetic and emotional reason behind it. And so maybe that message would allow you to open up and fully surrender and take that, if you're going through that physical struggle or that physical challenge or that physical reset, to dive deeper into that and welcome it. And it's like, okay, what is really resetting? What is really upgrading within me? Trying to tune in into that. What is really my body trying to tell me? What is that reset? And then you'll notice that there is that rebirth that is coming through. And it's quite fascinating because a couple weeks ago, I've done a video about the dark night of the soul, because it really felt like we were going through this. But it's interesting because we didn't know like how fast or when is that rebirth going to come through, because it's individual again for every person. So it might feel like for you right now that maybe you're not really feeling that strong rebirth energy. It doesn't mean that it's not moving through you. It's just in a different pace, and it's in a different model. It's in a different individual expression that is unique to you. So there's no such thing. But at the core of it, there is a reset energy that is moving us right now. Really, the best way I can say to navigate it is to really ride that wave, because it's very powerful at the core. But if we're going to hold on to our ego, we're going to hold on, well, if we're going to let our ego hold on, really, that's more of a more accurate statement to say. Or if we're going to let ourselves not welcoming the change because we are scared of a collapse, of an internal collapse. And I've spoken about this in these videos, is that it requires an internal collapse. And sometimes we're so scared of it because we're scared of loss, which is internal loss, a loss of what is outside. We're really scared of change. We're scared of what we might lose. But actually knowing that this discomfort is the key towards that new thing that is an upgraded version, that is an upgraded template, that is something that serves us and our reality much, much more. But because we don't know, we want to limit it and we want to try to translate it and understand it from our limited perspective. It doesn't function like this. We cannot understand this process through our own limited mindset, that what we're used to. We have to expand. We have to allow a new insight, a new intelligence, a new awareness to come through, because that is what it really is. Awareness is that divine intelligence that moves through us. We have to let it out. We have to let it in. We cannot box it. The more that we're boxing it, the more that we're actually caging ourselves from fully being on that ride that is really, really magical. So that is one aspect of it, is that if you've gone through some physical stuff into your body, but other ones could be really like internal chaos. There could be some chaotic energies that could be, I mean, it's been for a while, but they could be coming through as a form of like the parts within you that could be in battle. So that is what it really is when there is that chaotic energy within, is that there's opposing parts within. A one energy that is wanting to move towards maybe that new, that wants to trust, that wants to surrender. And there's this other part that is in freak out. So that's where it could be, there could be some sense of heightened anxiety. But then what I'm saying is that know that this energy is supporting that clarity. So there is this heightened awareness of oneself, of reading one's own energy, that, oh wow, yes, there is this aspect of myself, within myself, that just freaks out, that is in survival, that is in panic, that is in anxiety, that is in questions, that cannot surrender, that doesn't know, that doesn't this. It's really like as if you're seeing like an inner child inside, or like a child that is literally in panic mode and they're throwing a tantrum. So acknowledging that and noticing that, having that heightened awareness in those moments of holding yourself in that and understanding and finding the tools to calm that aspect within, because you know with that understanding that actually a new way is moving forward and is supporting. Because really in the collective scale, there's so many different timelines, right? And we're saying, and you see it, there's these conscious projections of this timeline is going to play out, this timeline is going to play out, this timeline is going to play out, this timeline is going to play out. And there's so many opposing visions or ideas of the timelines that we might be stepping into. Now, one thing I know is that the contrast is present. So as equal as the dark, as equal as the light, both are like, you want to see it as they're pulling from the opposite direction. So which exact thing is moving through our timeline? And then there's people like saying it's like extreme negative realities that might go through, and like, oh my god, it's a disaster. Other people, it's like la 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 la, and you know, tomorrow this is gonna happen. And it's kind of sitting in, let's be in, and let's ground in a reality, in a real grounded foundation, where just like with yourself, just like with everything you witness, nothing happens overnight, and nothing is really in black and white or in extremes. It's really like a swing, right? So the contrast is going to be present. The chaos is going to be present. Things are gonna really, like, shit is gonna hit the fan kind of reality. But also there's a lot of light at the other side of the scale, because the truth is really what is moving us from behind. It's really the root of it all that is actually moving us, even within ourselves. That's why we're actually seeing the internal mechanisms within us that were not founded on truth, that we're not grounded in truth, that we're grounded in different intentions different reasons that we know right now is not serving us. Like, for example, you might notice patterns within yourself where you did things just because you wanted love, you wanted to belong, that's just one example. And that is a self-deception. And then you realize, actually, no, like that's not serving me anymore. Let truth, let the highest truth be my guiding force. Let that be my North Star right now. And it is. On a collective scale, this is our North Star. Whether people might admit it or not, there is this as a very strong prayer for clarity. There's a very strong prayer for truth. But many might resist it. Many might fight it. You know, it's like really when you're not honest enough with yourself. And that is really also at the core of our own inner existence with that reset. It's like that reset that is moving us, is showing us, revealing to us those two dynamics on an energetic state. So it went from physical to emotional and mental, and now to the spiritual or energetic aspect. Is like, this is where your spirit is. This is your spirit moving you in that direction. And now you're being very faced and confronted with the things where you are consciously or unconsciously sabotaging your own knowing and your own moving towards your spiritual devotion. And it's like very clear, and it's like you know it, because deep down, if you were to stop all of that noise and ask and be in that very strong prayer and that very strong communion with your own spirit, to ask for what is the thing that you need to trust. But that is where it is. And I've done a video that I really recommend, which is the separation of the dimension of the heart and the mind. In what sense? Is that you're going to start noticing where in those moments the spiritual confusion within is because your heart knows the way. It knows the next step. It knows the direction. And I'm not saying like life direction. It could be a direction with a relationship, with a career, with something. And then there's no more room for one to lie with themselves. So you're going to notice that very strong contrast. But whether you want to fully embody it, act upon it, that's another question. That's really another question. Because ideally, that's what we want to do. But then you're going to have to maybe activate specific keys within you in order to take that action. So eventually, that is what that reset is, opening the pathway for us to really like a huge jump. It's like as if all those layers that we had between that template, that first step, that is the where we were, let's say 2 weeks ago, and now it was like, it was literally like collapse on itself. And we went through various collapsing of timelines, so many of them, to get to where we are today. So it is supported. That's what I'm saying. There's something that is all of a sudden much more heightened. And so you're noticing more and more where there is that state of, your deep inner knowing. And then the voices that come from the outside to disturb. And then the voices that are within, which are really rooted in what your heart needs to do, but then where your mind comes in with all these different excuses. But what about this? But what about that? What if this? What if that? But look at this person and look at this and look at, like I'm just giving, for example, in this situation with a relationship, then your mind start giving you all those excuses to why maybe you gotta keep going in a relationship that is unhealthy and not good for you. Okay? And the other way is true as well, because where maybe you know that this relationship is founded on love, but your mind is just creating all these different excuses to again sabotage the aspect of being loved and really receiving love. I mean, this is really it's very multi-layered, it's very deep, but the unconscious is much more visible. Now that is the task for you, to really take on that with a lot of courage and say, okay, I want to look into those unconscious aspects of myself. I want to bring it forward. Let's lay it out on the table with everything and notice what really your mind is telling you versus what deep down in your heart. If you were to let go of everything, all the different stories, all the different challenges, and of course, there are struggles. Of course, that's why actually where the battle of the heart and the mind are the most present, when there's a challenge, when there's some sort of change that needs to take place, internal or external, but it's very difficult because you're not able to know. The mind is very present in that moment because you're not able to fully surrender into your heart's decision, what your spirit is asking of you. And I'm finding that right now, very interestingly, much in a way, it's more challenging than prior to, I don't know, like 4 years ago. Like I felt like before that, there were a lot of movement of energies that were really based through spirit. There wasn't as much survival, but in the last 4 years, the immensity of the darkness that has crippled into our life, into our minds, into our families, into our reality, the what ifs, the survival mechanisms have made it more difficult to really follow that spontaneous spirit direction or spirit-led decisions or spirit-led energy. So now it's really like it feels much more of that battle of where is that spirit calling and where is the mind is actually coming in with its own what ifs, but what about this, but what about that, and making it more difficult to actually let go. But at the same time, as I'm saying, the resets energy, the moment that we choose it, like the moment that you choose, say, you know what, actually, no, I'm choosing to let go. This energy is gonna just like, it's literally like a river flow that's just gonna literally make it so easy for you to let go. But that is where the intention setting is so important, and to be clear on what you're asking for. That's what I'm saying, intention setting. What are you asking for right now? Really, what are you asking for? The moment that you ask for it, know that that reset energy is completely supporting you to move forward, and know that that ripple, and maybe now as I'm saying this, that ripple could be that it got initiated and generated from you first, or it could be that you are receiving it from someone or something on your outside where that reset happened, and then you're feeling that you are the receiver of that ripple. And that is so beautiful because it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter where it originated from. It's knowing that there is this collective intention moving through, this collective energy of like, we are devoted to consciousness, we are devoted to God, we are devoted to reclaiming our light, internal, personal light, and collective light. We are here to reclaim our divinity fully. And once that intention is set, just allowing and witnessing those ripples coming in and out, whether internally or externally. So I hope that message was of any support. Please share it around with people that might benefit from it. And let me know also your experience in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Much love.